Welcome back to Little Side Note with Win and
Maya.
so this episode we're gonna talk about time management. Well, not necessarily time management, but it's more about our family always needing us to do something. Kinda.
Kinda. I don't know
Yeah.
about you guys, but okay, because I was used to living kind of alone and living on my own for a while, I was like, I have a set schedule. So I kind of had like a set schedule most of the time. Like, oh, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that. This whole day I planned it out.
Mm-hmm.
And then since I came back, I had to like kind of cope with my parents are gonna drag me out last minute doing this and that for them, or my grandma's gonna come in calling me to do this and that for them, which is kind of annoying because like I had this set plan of my progress of what I should do or what I need to do for myself.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like you're in between, like, oh, you want to be there for your family and then you want to be there for yourself.
Yeah. I would say that usually when I'm back in Campbell as well, like there aren't a lot of like me time. It's always just me constantly being on my feet waiting for my mom to call me to do something.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's difficult because I think I saw this one TikTok that says that maybe personally it's for me, like for me personally, I like nighttime especially because I feel like that's like my free time. So that's why I stay up so late. I think it's because in the morning time you would always expect to help out your family. So you never have like time for yourself.
Mm. I think I'm more of like a different I'm more of an early bird. So I wake up early most days. I rarely sleep in because I guess it's just my internal clock wakes me up never past 8 a.m. So whenever I do sleep past 8 a.m. I'm like, ooh, wow, new record.
Yeah, pretty much a night owl. I feel like I'm at peace when it's nighttime. Maybe it's just me, like in the morning time when I just feel like it's a waste to just like stay home and do nothing or stay home and do my assignment. It's like just like a waste of good day. So usually I I push back my assignment till nighttime and then I complain that I never finish it on time.
To be fair, your assignments is like you cannot really divide specific time for it. I'm not gonna lie, my entire uni, I never had to go through a session of homework over 2 hours except for like papers, which yeah, understandable, but like, oh, if it's like an assignment that they assign every class, I never had to go through over 2 to 3 hours, so I could literally just sit and finish it one time. I won't, if I have a bug or something or like mistake or something, I won't even know it because unlike you run the code, you know you're wrong there,
Yeah.
and it won't work. But for me, I'm like, I had to finish the entire thing, and then this is actually like not too great for academic honesty because you shouldn't have done this, but I did this. I text my friends asking what's their final answer to see if we have the correct answers, and then like, well, yeah, we go off from there. If one of us is wrong, we get to double check, and then we're like keeping tabs on each other, trying to get the best outcome.
It's the same for me, but it's more like because like I have friends who's like ahead of me. So whenever I'm taking a subject that they already took, and then I ask them for help, but with coding, it's never the same. So it could be another problem with my computer or something else within my computer, or it's with my code. And like even if I plan it out, sometimes I plan it out like I'm gonna do this part for today, then I will have to do another part for the next day. But it's always the errors that throw me off. Like the majority of coding an assignment is you fixing errors.
Mm-hmm. It's just really annoying.
Yeah.
I don't know how you guys do it.
I'm losing my sanity, so
But I don't like. I have tried. In a sense, it's hard to tackle this kind of problem where oh, you want to have time for yourself, or you already got something planned and then you tell your family. Because I remember there was this one period of time where I was preparing for like a huge exam. So I was working a good 8 to 6 p.m. job that time. By the time I got home, it was like 6:30. I finished everything, getting ready for bed and all that stuff. It'll be 7 or like 8, and then you guys were there like 8 to 10. I'm forcing myself to study or like at least practice for a good 2 hours so that I wouldn't be too underprepared for the exam. But during that time, it was like, oh, this is the only time my parents get to see me or like get to ask me to do stuff for them, and they constantly come ask me during that time, and I kept saying, I can't, I'm gonna study, I need to prepare for this, I need to prepare for that. They didn't say it at the time. They're like, okay, fine, they rub it off. But then months later, I saw that they hold a grudge. Like, oh, my aunt called me to do this, and then they're like, and I needed permission to go. So I went and asked them, and it was still in the same situation where I needed to prepare for the exam still. But I wanted to go with my aunt to like de-stress, or she was asking me to do something that I personally wanted to do. I enjoyed doing it. So that's why I asked them if I could go. And then my mom was like, well, you kept saying no and having to prepare for exam whenever I ask you, why are you going now? So it's like guilt tripping.
Yeah.
Kind of hard to cope with. In a sense, I understand where they're coming from. If I were in their situation, of course, I'd feel a little bit jealous, not knowing the nature that all the stuff that my aunt's asking me to do is something I wanted to do. That's why I'm asking to go.
It's
tricky, right?
it's more like I don't want to. It's difficult because right now the way I see things is from like a Western view type of thing.
Yeah, go for it. Shoot.
So so whenever we're talking about Asian household, to my head it's like it's wrong. Like, you're not supposed to be that way to your family. But then again, we also understand where they're coming from. But like, I don't. It's very difficult because you never know if this is normal or is it not.
It's hard.
And I don't want to be a person to judge.
Yeah. It's hard to identify who's right and who's wrong because it's also circumstantial. And like, yeah, in a sense, if you look at it in the perspective where I'm living for myself, I don't owe them anything, of course. It's like wrong for them to guilt trip me. But if you're looking at the perspective how we were raised with this education where we need to know that we are kind of in debt to our parents for existing, like it is a small fee of what they've been doing for us.
Like I went on subreddits, right, and it's difficult to talk about it because I don't want to think that there's something wrong with a family. But like, whenever I go to a subreddit called Asian Parent Stories, it's mostly about Asian parents in general, like what their behaviors are. And a lot of people are saying that it's not normal. Like it's very I don't want to say abusive, but it's not normal.
Okay, so what is the definition of normal though? Does this mean the majority of people do it? That's what you call normal?
No, it's like what type of relationship you're supposed to have with your parents. Like what people think is normal is that your parents don't guilt trip you. Your parents don't constantly tell you that you owe them. That's just like examples.
I think for my family, they never like openly said I owe them or anything. They've never even, I don't think they intended or anything like that, but it's more like the education system itself, because that's the only thing that I remembered from civic studies, dude. Like it's constantly saying that, oh, we're learning about Buddhism and how we should be grateful for people who gave birth to us. We are, so in a sense it kind of translates to being in debt to me, because it was the only way that I understood, although I know that it's not intended to be like that, but it sounds like that, so I always interpreted that way since I was young. Yeah.
Maybe it's just my family that uses that against me. I don't know. I would always constantly hear that I don't care about my family enough and I care about other things more. And well, it's difficult because me and my family, we don't have anything in common. So whatever my mom thinks I like, I don't like. So I would reject that idea. But then when I talk to you guys, you know what I like, right?
Yeah.
So, and then it causes me to communicate with you guys more, and then they would say that, oh, I care more about my friends than my own family. But
I get your position actually, because I do feel like, okay, I love food. I love trying new food. There is no bounds to that. I'm constantly trying, even though I have like, I'm lactose and I'm bad with spicy food. But I still like, oh, I love trying new things. But to my parents, they can't even eat cheese. Like the texture itself is disgusting to them. So like most of the time when I'm home, I don't eat the stuff that I don't get to eat the stuff that I like, because they don't like it, and of course they're the one who buying it. So I just like, okay, I'm eating to survive. I'm not really eating to enjoy the taste much. Granted, there are some dishes that I do like, but it's just not the majority. Because I'm leaning more towards the Asian fusion kind of food rather than the total Kembo food kind of stuff.
To be fair, I think it's kind of a generational thing as well.
Yeah, it might be. Like, my aunt is like a generation between my parents and me. So she herself has a lot of similar tastes to me. That's why I always tend to revert to her more, like, oh, she gets the stuff that I was excited to try or I want to try. So I'm like, okay, I'm mostly, that's why, my mom actually did try to she did ask, like, why do you like going to your aunts more than coming to me? And I'm like, it's hard to say, because it's easier to talk with her. I don't have to explain much. I just say it and then she gets it. For instance, if I say to my mom that I want, so the thing is like, oh, if I say I want to go biking, my mom would say, why would you want to go biking of all things? It's so hot, it'll ruin your skin. But then if I say it to my aunt, she'll be like, oh, excited to try, because it's like, in her brain, it's like classified as an outdoor activity. So it's like not something so out of the blue. Like, oh, you're just trying something new, which is more, I guess, generational.
Yeah, definitely. Like, I mean, I wish I could like take my mom out to do other things as well, like going out to the cinema and stuff like that. But I can't do that because she doesn't like it.
Yeah, me too.
You know, I've always been jealous of people posting on social media of their family hanging out together, and I'm like, I can never do this. It would always end up in a lecture, or she's just not gonna go.
My family loves trips, so we tend to go on family trips together. That is our middle ground. But anything else is just Like, my mom likes to go to pick fruits in farms, and I'm more of a city girl. Yeah, so I was like, yeah, you can go do that with dad. I'll just stay home. Thank you.
I don't know about you, but whenever I go on holiday with my family, because I don't even have a me time because they don't speak English. So they would always need me constantly to be there around them to translate whatever they're trying to buy. So then it's like I can't explore by myself. Like I just have to like a little duckling following them.
For me, it's the same, but I guess I don't have much trouble with it because my dad is he can speak English. It's just not proper full on English, so he helps a lot. And I'm just there like being the buffer when he's too lazy to do it.
No, like I remember every other trip with my family, I would always like be there with them. So in a sense, when you guys are talking about like, did you go here? Did you go there? I'm like, no, I follow my mom around the shopping mall. So that's why I look forward to going out with you guys, because I know that we're like this very energetic people that really, really wants to go out and explore. So in my head, it makes more sense.
I think their type of exploring is sightseeing, whereas ours is more hands-on, going to do stuff, going to not just see it, but enjoy the activities there. So it's like hard, and plus they're old. That's the other thing. Yeah, it's hard to find middle ground sometimes.
It is. It's like we've like stated in our previous episodes that our parents' generation gap and our gap are very, very different. I see some parents like are trying their best to be best friends with their kids. And I don't know if that's a good idea, honestly, because we've never been raised up by those type of parents, you know? But I don't think I would prefer it though.
I think it's a nice concept, but I don't think that okay, even if you're best friends with your parents, you cannot tell every single thing to your parents. I'm gonna be honest.
Yeah, exactly.
There are boundaries, and for our culture, it's also the respect in the way that we phrase a lot of stuff. So it holds us from saying a lot of stuff too, and making it clear about what we mean. Instead, we have to politely say it and structure it in a way that is acceptable, like it will go in, they can accept it in their ears in a sense. So because we filter too much, we can't be brutally honest.
Yeah,
And at some point I want all parents to know that no child can tell you every single thing that they do, because one, generational gap, and two, they want you to, like, kids want their parents to see them in a respectable light or in a good light. So for instance, if like in the US a lot of kids do drugs just to like try to just have fun, don't expect them to tell you every single thing that happens, because they know it's bad. but they're on the mindset of, well, if I don't try it now, when will I get a chance to try it? Will I
Yeah.
regret this later on?
Yeah. In a sense, it kind of helps them to be
Mm.
like, because I've seen a lot of people who have parents that kind of like are so strict, so they kind of like rebel. So in a way, it makes them want to do those things even more. So if we get that chance to try it, I feel like if we don't like it, it'll be okay, right?
Mm.
We would stop doing it. But with other kids that really, really, really want to rebel their parents, I feel like they would do whatever to kind of spite their parents.
Mm.
And that's like dangerous. If their parents are like, oh, don't do drugs, they would go out of their way to do drugs just to make a point.
Yeah. The more you tell them don't do it, the more they'll do it. They'll more want to do it.
Yeah.
So it's like hard to say too.
Yeah.
I had a
I
conversation with my aunt where I was like, oh, don't do this, don't do that, because I didn't like it as a kid. And I don't want my cousins to go through it. And then she's like,
Yeah.
how there's no right way of parenting because everyone
Yeah.
thinks differently. So it's hard. So don't ever blame your parents. They were trying their best and they did what they thought were best.
Yeah, like we are not parents, so we don't know.
Mm.
But parenting is a big, 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 big deal. Whatever you're doing is gonna shape who your kids are.
Mm-hmm.
To me, it's like very scary. Like, in a way, like I love kids. I really do love kids. Like I like want a family, but then again, I'm scared that I would end up like my parents, where my kids don't want to talk to me.
I guess it's all with how you set your boundaries. Like I do see people who can switch off and switch on their role. They would explain the concept to their kids like, okay, right now I'm not mom, I'm this person. So you talk to me in the sense where you're talking to a friend, and I will try to be as unbiased as I can. And then they switch back on to mom mode where they're like, okay, so this is what I think is best for you as a mom who wants all the best for you. So it's like kind of, it's hard, but you gotta find middle ground in your own sense. And it depends on the kid too. Like if you were an outgoing person, don't expect the kid to be an outgoing person.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Exactly. I feel like our parents, because in a way they were robbed of their childhood as well. So they put all their dreams and expectation into us. They think we're like a mini them, like in a way that when they got us, they're like, they think we have the same mindset of doing things. So yeah, I think that's why they're pursuing their dream. Like by like, you know. So yeah, just don't do that to your kids, I guess. Like they have their own way of thinking and doing things. Maybe you liked whatever and then your kids don't like that, and that's okay.
It's hard to find common interests too, because like they, like you said, they were robbed of their childhood. They never got to explore. They kept hustling to try and make it out, and now times are changing faster than ever.
Yeah.
It's hard to it's so hard. I don't know, dude. Like I just think about it, I'm like
It's not a black and white type of topic. It's very, very gray.
in a sense where when you're trying to understand them, you're somewhat emotionally hurting yourself because you are holding back a lot of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're doing what you want, that is also like horrible where you are hurting them.
Yeah.
So finding a common ground is like, oh, dude, the hardest thing ever.
Yeah. I feel like in a lot of cases, we both should take a step back,
Mm.
but I feel like a lot of times our parents don't do that because they need to like set authority so that we
Mm.
listen to them.
Mm.
Like we're constantly trying to step ourselves back, but they're constantly pushing. So it's difficult. Yeah.
This reminds me of the time where I broke down in front of my parents, and I'm like, they came in and they saw me crying, and I'm like, I just need a minute. Just please give me a minute. But they kept pushing. They didn't give me a minute. They just kept asking, what's wrong? What's wrong? What's wrong? And I'm like, I get you're concerned, but it's better if I had the time to breathe and sort out my thoughts, and that's when it's easier to talk to you and explain to you what my problem is. And honestly, most of the time, I cry over like very small things. Like it seems like the whole world in that moment. In truth, after you get the emotions passed through, after the hormones settle down, you feel like, okay, it's not that big a deal.
I don't often cry.
Fair.
Yeah. Usually when I cry is when I can't hold it in anymore.
Well, you're talking to a person who literally cries every time she's watching a new K-drama, so yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah, understandable.
I am just dramatic that way.
Yeah. Oh my god. I'm like about to go buy food, but this is a very heavy topic. I think I just lost my appetite.
Oh, I'm sorry. Hopefully when you see food you feel better and want to eat it again.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like an asshole saying this, but in a way I do resent my family, and it's very difficult to kind of like see them in a good light. I mean, I understand whatever they're trying to do is for my sake, but then again, some things are way too extreme.
Yeah, well, that comes back to the concept where they say, well, blood is blood. Like, no, you being a normal human being come first. Not blood is blood. Blood is nothing but DNA and chemicals. You don't take that into consideration with your emotions. Like literally, if it will only count if I can feel what you feel.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's when I think blood is blood would make sense. But it's like, we're still individual humans. What do you mean blood is blood?
I feel like a lot of problems starts because of the sentence blood is blood. Like sometimes you're just an asshole. Like I don't want to be bloods with you, but I can't help it, you know?
Yeah. I can't help if you're a shitty person and we share the somewhat parts of the same DNA.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's overall like a very difficult topic to talk about. Like, like I think in a way because I've tasted freedom, when I'm in Australia. So whenever I go back home, I feel like I'm being confined in a space that I don't like.
Yeah.
But it doesn't make sense because that's your family.
That is the sense. I think we got like a little bit taste of freedom, And that's why
Mm.
it's so hard to adjust living in a family again, because you're not living for yourself anymore. You're living for yourself and partly for others as well.
Mm.
So it's like,
Freedom is addicting.
mm. Mm.
But man, no matter how shitty Cambo is, the way I see it, whoever's listening to us probably thinks otherwise, but to me, like, it is for me. But cheesy as it sounds, I don't think I can call any other country home.
Yeah. I do agree on that. I think we've talked about this before, where when we imagined ourselves in the future, even till now, when we've tasted freedom, we're like, we can't imagine home or growing old anywhere else other than being in Cambo.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard. Like, I do think that, okay, in a sense, I don't think Cambo is all that bad. Although people are like, oh, it's a third world country, it's underdeveloped. Like, it has its own charms.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And not all families are like ours. I do see a few of my friends who, they are literally best friends with their parents. Whenever they go out clubbing, they tell their parents. And their parents are fine with it. It's because their parents can switch off the parental mode and let them explore and be individuals, which, and I really respect on that, but it's just like my parents are too traditional to accept it.
Yeah, I guess hopefully by talking about it in our podcast, we could end up changing how society is. Basically, it's like baby steps.
Yeah.
So, wrapping up the episode.
Okay. So my advice is, I guess, don't be too hard on yourself. You win some, you lose some. You can't always be there for your family, and most of the times you can't prioritize yourself because you are in risk of being called selfish.
Yeah.
So try to find your version of middle ground.
Yeah, I would say the same. Like, it's okay to, I guess, feel shitty sometimes. Like, it's.
We're all
I would say that, okay, coming someone who doesn't like their family, I would say that it is probably gonna be better if you're also trying to understand their point instead of pushing back.
Yeah. Rebelling might seem like the easiest way out, but trust me, you'll just end up hurting both, like each other.
Yeah. Listen to us kids.
Thank you for listening to our episode. Please follow us on Instagram at Little Side Note, and go check us out on Facebook and YouTube, Little Side Note the podcast. And we are on Spotify now, so go check that out, Little Side Note the podcast.
As always, we'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye.